So it's past 2 o'clock here in Sweden. So I welcome you all to this event where we'll be showcasing inspiring Nordic Baltic Scicomm trends. I will first say that this event is being recorded and we will publish it on the VA website later. But in case you don't want to be visible in the recording, then please turn off your camera and then we won't be able to see you, who you are. I'm happy that you're so many here gathered to this event where we showcase inspiring activities that have been going on during the pandemics. My name is Maria Haggard. I work as an international relations and communications manager at VA Public and Science here in Stockholm. And I'm also the hub manager for the Falling Walls Engage Hub Sweden. I'd also like to welcome my fellow colleagues from the Nordic countries, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction of them soon, and also Niklas Marcinik from the Falling Walls Engage, who will also present some inspiring activities that are going on a more global level. But first, I'd like to know where you're all joining from. Where are you actually located? So please go to menti.com and enter the code 32662971. And you also see the code in the chat. So I also remind the ones who have just joined that this event is going to be recorded. So if you don't want to be visible in the recordings afterwards, you can have your camera turned off. And I'll ask my colleague Oscar to show the Menti. So we have colleagues joining in from Iceland, welcome. And Helsinki, Finland. Quite a lot of Finns here today. Uppsala, Sweden, Norrköping, välkommen. And Berlin, Edinburgh. So Northern Europe, I would say. Tallinn. So we're covering a lot of the Nordic, both Nordic, European and Scandinavia here. You're all very welcome to this event. And I just wanted to first start with giving you a brief background to it. Some 10 years ago, some of us here today started an informal Nordic Baltic Scicomm network. And our last face-to-face meeting was held in Tallinn in November 2019. And I think some of you that are participating today was also at that meeting. During that meeting, we made great plans on how we could develop this network further, and we had decided to meet face-to-face on an annual basis in one Nordic Baltic country. But then, the pandemic hit, so we had to kind of dismiss all those great plans. But since then, we have VA, Public and Science, become the Swedish hub for the Falling Walls Engage network. So in this context now, we collaborate with science communicators and science engagers all across the globe within the different international hubs. And then, as I said, Niklas Marcinik will talk more about and present some upcoming activities that's happening now in the international hubs. But today, our focus is on the Nordics and the activities then we have tried out and explored during this pandemic, and also a bit about the trends that we see in the future. So I'd like you to meet some of my fellow Nordic Baltic colleagues who will share their experiences with you. So we start with, from Norway, we had Sidsel Bachmann, who's a senior advisor communications at the Research Council of Norway. From Sweden, you will meet my colleague, Julia Brink, who's product manager here at VA Public and Science. From Iceland, Adalheiður Jónsdóttir, head of education and research, culture division at RANIS, the Icelandic Center for Research. From Estonia, you'll meet Terje Tuisk, who's the head of development at the Estonian Academy of Sciences. And from Finland, we have Reetta Kettunen, Secretary General at the Committee for Public Information. And we should also have Mari Niemi, who's Research Director at E2 Tutkimus with us. So with that, I welcome all you participants to this session and also all you speakers. And the speakers will then be sharing, as I said, all the innovative and new activities that they have explored. And after the presentations, there will be some time for you in the audience, the participants, to ask questions. So, but please feel free to post your questions in the chat during the presentations, and then we ask all the questions afterwards. So by that, I'm handing over to our first speaker, Sidsel from Norway. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sidsel Bachmann. I'm working at the Research Council in Norway, and I am the head of our National Science Festival. And I just want to thank you, Marie, and your team for bringing us together. I've actually missed the network during COVID, so I'm looking very much forward to getting together again. We have done several activities to make new alternatives for our festival during COVID. And I think the most successful ones are the ones that were created to be digital from the start. Some better than other, of course, but my experience from these 2 years is that when we try to transform activities, existing activities to be digital ones, the quality often end up not being good enough. Also, we have had several hybrid events with either streaming or streaming from or streaming instead of physical events. And that works, of course, but it's, I think, rarely that we really engage the public in the same way as we do in physical events. So I think we kind of miss the magic that can happen when you meet in person. But I thought we don't have much time, but I will show you 2 examples of things that have worked. And the first one is called Kaffe med en forsker in Norwegian, which is something like have a coffee with a researcher. We use a physicist, quite well known, not at all in kind of a celebrity, but he has had a couple of TV shows in our national TV channel about science. And each morning during our festival, he takes a cup of coffee live on Instagram with the researcher. And it's just a very easygoing talk where he asks about what they're doing, what they're working on, lasts 5-10 minutes, sometimes a bit longer. And he is mostly doing it from his kitchen at home, and sometimes where he is that morning. They have the same cup with a festival name on it, and people can watch live or they can watch later if they want. We will have it on our Instagram feed and later put it on the website as well. We have done this for 2 festivals now, and we will keep on doing it this year, even though I hope this year's festival will be more physical than the last 2 ones. Maybe you could, this is very like down to earth, not fancy at all. Just you can just see the 2 people on Instagram. I think we will try to show you a little bit of one, just a short, because it's in Norwegian, but then you can see what it looks like.
Hallo.
Der, god morgen.
Sjekk. Jeg er akkurat like hipp som du.
Oh. Bra.
Sant?
Er den ferdig?
Ja, det håper jeg.
Ja. Du har vært ute allerede?
Jeg har vært ute, vet du. Hils på fuglene.
Hva, er det en daglig løpetur, eller hva er det du gjør om morgenen?
Noen ganger som oftest bare går jeg. Det kommer an på hvor mye jeg har å tenke på. I går kveld satt jeg og tenkte veldig hardt og veldig lenge. Og jeg tror på en måte aldri hodet mitt stoppet i natt heller. Så jeg måtte gå med en liten tur i morges og ja, få det overstått.
Ja. Fascinerende. Hva, når du tenker på jobb, hva tenker du på da? Eller det jeg egentlig lurer på er, hva forsker du på?
Hva forsker du på? Ja. Jeg forsker på forklarbar kunstig intelligens. Så i korte trekk egentlig sånn, hva har maskinen skjønt? Og du har jo snakket om kunstig intelligens med i alle fall Morten Goodwin, ikke sant? Og han er jo datalog, og han liksom bygger kunstig intelligente systemer da. Jeg kan også gjøre det, men jeg er ikke like flink. Men jeg lurer mer sånn på, hvis vi har en boks som det står kunstig intelligens eller AI på, hva er det den har funnet? For det er jo, kunstig intelligens er jo tidenes samlebetegnelse. Det er liksom roboter, logikk, alt mulig.
Thank you. I thought about the ones that don't understand Norwegian. It's not so interesting, maybe. The other one is an event that we made to have online in 2020 when we had the brain as our festival topic. We engaged a Norwegian gamer who had a neuroscientist present when she was gaming, and they also scanned her brain while she was gaming. She was there all the time, the scientist. So they were commenting and people watching could ask questions along the way. And they did this 2 days in a row. Before day 2, MCA, as she's called, had to make some preparation. She should sleep longer and do some training and eat more healthy. And that gave them a reason to talk about these topics connected to gaming, to keep concentration, and if you could do a better game if you are preparing better. We call it the level of your brain. I will show you now just 1.5 minute summary that MCA made from the first day of gaming.
Hey guys, what's up? Happy Tuesday. I'm a little bit nervous about today. I'm not nervous, but I'm very excited. I'm doing a little collab with this research days, or Norwegian forskningsdagene. So today we're gonna test out my brain activity while gaming and streaming. So yeah, hopefully we'll learn a little bit, get some hands-on tips on what can improve your gameplay or focus when playing. Hello. Okay. Whoa, I feel that. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, God. Okay, so here we see so a lot is going on. Yeah. Oh my God, this is gonna be so much fun. There's 2 guys there.
It was actually a bit fun because when you first jumped in and you were in the corner,
Yeah,
in that moment you completely switched over.
Really?
And also you stopped blinking. So there was like that was one of the times when there was like your muscles were not moving as much because you were so focused on what you were doing.
Wow.
So it was one of the cleaner segments we've had so far.
Okay, so that was it. Please ask me about this or anything else afterwards if you want. Thank you.
Thank you, Sidsel, for sharing these inspiring activities. Now I would like to move on to Sweden, neighbor to Norway, and my colleague Julia Brink. The screen is yours, Julia.
Thank you. I'm Julia Brink, and I'm a project manager at VA, colleagues with Maria. I'm going to share my screen now with a PowerPoint presentation. I'm originally actually from Finland, so I've lived in Sweden for 10 years. So hello, all my Finnish friends out there. And I used to work at a Nordic context before I started at VA, so I'm happy to be back at the Nordic context, but in science communication and engagement, as this network is. So now to my presentation, I will talk about, as Sidsel said, it's not, you don't develop activities that are suited, or just put the activities that you have on site online. In Sweden, I think we have done additions to on-site activities during the pandemic. So and have actually had some lessons learned that we will take with us even forward in our festival. So I will talk about those both kinds of things. So, but beforehand, we do a lot of different stuff, and we have done a lot of different projects in public engagement activities beforehand. Just here are some examples and activities that we are engaged in as well right now. My colleague Helen and Maria that are with me here today have been engaged in many of these activities before. But I will move on to Forskarfredag. That is my area expertise. I'm the project leader of our Sweden's largely spread science festival, Forskarfredag. So, Forskarfredag, it's part of the European Researchers' Night, been so since 2006. We have 30 external partners and national collaboration partners and 11 partners. And it's, as I said, Sweden's most widespread science festival. And one of the things is actually why it's so widespread has to do with lessons learned from the pandemic, because last year we reached over 70% of Sweden's municipalities, and that's largely because of on-site and online activities combined. We do a lot of different activities during Forskarfredag, but we focus on the dialogue between the researcher and the public. So as you said before, it's difficult to get the same reaction online that you do on site and the same chemistry between, but we do see that we can reach new target groups with the online activities. So, and one activity that we developed during the pandemic and has been part of is Borrow a Researcher. And it's actually been part of Forskarfredag for the concept has been part of Forskarfredag for a long time. And it's been in the process of developing to a platform before the pandemic, but during the pandemic, they actually went and did something about it. So in 2021, VA developed an online digital platform for Borrow a Researcher. And the idea of it is that make it as easy as to book a hairdresser to get a researcher to participate in a school class. So we make it as easy for the teacher as possible to actually get a researcher to participate in a school class. And the meetings can be both online and in person, and that actually helps the researchers to participate as well, because they can take 45 minutes out of their busy schedule and go online and visit the classroom instead of traveling far. And some teachers maybe have difficulties traveling with kids to a science center or a university to meet the researchers, so they get the possibility to get a researcher into the classroom. And as I said, with dialogue, which is really important in Forskarfredag, we can see that 97% of all the teachers that answered the survey last year actually said that they had the opportunity, or they had the perception of the opportunity to ask questions from the researchers, which is really, really good. And you can see that it works still, even though it's online. We had some lessons learned from last year. Last year we just sent out all the 80 researchers into classrooms. We just helped them with tools, but they didn't have any training. This year they're actually going to receive training so that they will be even better off meeting all different target groups. And they're also going to get matching pins so that everyone will know that they are part of Borrow a Researcher. Here is a mock-up of the platform from last year. So you can see it's like a mosaic of all these different researchers. So we have the name of the researchers, we have topic, we have areas of science, but we also have fun facts, personal facts about the researchers, so that the audience or the pupils can see that researchers are all kinds of different people, so that they can see that maybe they can be a researcher in the future, or even look at going to a higher education. But all researchers aren't just people with white coats. They are from different walks of life, different kind of areas. They can do research in all different kinds of areas. And the great thing about Borrow a Researcher we have had before at Forskarfredag is been very much focused on STEM, but from Borrow a Researcher, we actually have equally as many visits from the researchers from humanities and social science. So we had a lot of booked researchers from social science and humanities as well, which is really, really good. Thing that we will develop this year that will make it even easier is that the booker can actually select times that they prefer to book a researcher, so that they will just filter out the researchers that are available for that time that they want the researcher to participate. And up in the squares, you can see quotes from researchers participating last year, because they got a lot out of participating as well. And my colleague will actually share a link in the chat from one of the researchers that wrote a blog on the university of his lessons learned from being part of Borrow a Researcher. Lessons we have annually, we have a Researchers Grand Prix competition as well, a part of Forskarfredag, where researchers compete in presenting their research in the most captivating and educational way as possible in 4 minutes. Usually we have like regional heats that run up to a final, but we had addition from the pandemic years. We learned to also have an online heat, so that researchers from all through Sweden were able to attend and compete in this competition. Before, they were just regional heats, so it weren't able for all researchers to participate. But a lessons learned from the pandemic is that have a online heat as well, so that all researchers through Sweden can compete. And we are keeping that online heat, even though we can have the on-site heats this year. So that's a lessons learned that we are keeping with us from the pandemic. We also have a citizen science project that's part of Forskarfredag annually. And this year it's called the Plastic Experiment. And it's a nationwide citizen science project that we collect and analyze plastic waste. School pupils and general public who are helping researchers at the University of Gothenburg to map how much plastic pollution they can find in different types of nature throughout Sweden. The extraordinary thing with this citizen science project is that it's going to be throughout 2 years. So we're actually going to have 3 different data collection periods, so that we can the participants can come back, or we can grow the group so we can get new participants. That's actually lessons learned that we have learned, that usually when we have a 1 period collection period, some people connected with us later and was like, oh, we missed the period of collection. So we actually can, when we have 3 periods, we can reach even more people to take part of the citizen science project. So just finally, why should we still keep the online element in social science engagement activities? We can see that we reach more people. As I said, 70% of Sweden's municipalities participated. Teachers are quite comfortable actually having online meetings in classrooms. We can have teachers and schools participate that aren't able to travel to a science center or a university. So it actually includes more people. And we can have like European activities with other European researchers night that we have done, like online activities with other European researchers night, part of our Forskarfredag. So, and that's the lessons learned from the pandemic era as well. So finally, just contact if anyone had any questions, and if you have any questions from the plastic experiment, here is contact to my colleague as well, who is not here right now. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. And I'll head directly over to Iceland and Aðalheiður Jónsdóttir.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be with you. Thank you, Maria, for inviting us to this very, very nice get-together. Well, in Iceland, of course, things tend to be on a slightly smaller scale in this big country. But I will have to tell you just a little bit about what we are doing in Rannís, because in terms of science communication in Iceland, we are the equivalent of a research council. And we organize the National Science Festival, which we team up, of course, with Researchers' Night in Europe. But we do it over a week, and like culminates in the sort of in the Researchers' Night on Friday and Saturday every year. And the other most active science communication organization in Iceland is the organizations, the universities, as you know. And some of you know my colleague Guðrún Bachmann from the University of Iceland. And she has been really the most active person carrying on the science communication at their university. It's by far the biggest of the 7 universities we have in the country. But she couldn't be with us today. So I'm just going to focus slightly on what we did for Researchers' Night 2021. As you remember, the summer looked good and everyone thought the pandemic was over. And then the biggest wave hit like beginning of October, more or less, if I remember correctly. So all summer we were like on and off. Should we do it the traditional way, or what should we do? And the plan was to have a Researchers' Night event, of course, focusing on hands-on activities. And we've very, very quickly decided not to do the traditional way. And I can agree with Sidsel that it's not always successful to bring live events online. And so we decided not to do that. Instead, what we did, we canceled the big event, but we kind of spread it out. So we decided to contact the small organizations in the rural regions, focusing on regional activities. What is your research interest? Like in the south, on the south coast, in the north, in the east. So we delegated really the organization of Researchers' Night to the rural regions because everyone could do small events. This pandemic wave hadn't hit quite yet. So it kind of worked with smaller events. And in the Reykjavik area, we focused on, instead of this big event, we broke it up. So we worked with the University of Iceland and we worked with a science cafe concept, really. And that worked. Why? Because at that time, I don't remember if the limit was 50 people or 100 people that could come together. So the science cafe concept was what really worked. And we organized small like award ceremonies. And so we could do everything, but we canceled the big event and we canceled the the collaboration with schools, because we have something similar like borrow a researcher. In Icelandic, it's vísindamaður að láni. And the schools were kind of on and off, they couldn't really decide. So, but in the end, we worked with very, very few schools because that was planned for October and November, and we couldn't really do it. So in our opinion, what really worked was go small, spread out, delegate, don't focus on a central point in Reykjavik as we tend to do. We went all over, and so we got excellent participation locally, and so that was what really worked. So I can show you maybe a couple of photos just so you see something else, not only me. Do you see the screen? Yeah, okay. No, you can't see the photos, right? Can you see them? Oh, right, okay.
We see the lovely horses.
You see my horses. Now you see it. Can you see it now?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So just a couple of photos of the science cafe setting that we work with. So everyone gets a cup. It's called Vísindakaffi. Vísindakaffi is the science cafe. And this little robot guy that was the kind of our little friend for that year. And so we invite researchers to a cafe setting. This is in a cafeteria called Perlan, which if you come to Reykjavik, you've probably seen it. It's like a huge glass building on top of the geothermal hot water containers. And so at that time, we never had any masks in public in Iceland, only in closed spaces. And really in September, we had this window where people, 50 to 100 people could come together without masks. So this is the setting. So this was the guy that you saw first was one night. Then this scientist, this lady on the left, she talked about vaccinations. And that was the most fun science cafe I've ever been at, because we got a group of activists coming in, really women that came in with signs, and we're gonna, we were trying to, really get the scientists to talk about, these stupid things. And she was so professional. She said, I'm a scientist. I'm not telling you the truth. I'm a scientist. Science is not truth. And she was so absolutely fantastic. And we were happy about that, because this could have ended, with fights, because these women were really, really feisty. But I'm not going to show you a picture of them. So we got quite a good turnout. So for each science cafe, we got 750. I think there was the smallest one up to 80, 90 for the biggest one. So that was quite successful. And then this was the third science cafe, and this guy talked about the information, the misinformation of science in the internet today. So we tried to focus also the topics on what was happening. So we really, and that was quite successful. So vaccinations, misinformation about science, and then the first guy, I don't remember his topic, but something linked to what is really, of course, volcanic eruptions, because we had I think we had an active volcano at that time. And then we managed to do one social event because we annually award the Science Communication Award. So a small ceremony, but still we could get together and have a drink of wine and enjoy a little bit, but very small. So here you see our minister on the left for education, science, and culture, and the guy on the right is our main person in Iceland, really the top science communicator, young guy that really reaches children, and he's always, we use him as our moderator in Researchers' Night. So he's really, really active and really nice to work with. And then this group is the other award that we gave out. And this is Icelandic Methodological Office. They celebrated their 100th year, and they had been very active in giving people information about what's the state of the volcano today. And we had, I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 earthquakes every 24 hours at that time. So that's really a team that is important in a country like ours, be it information about weather, earthquakes, or volcanic eruptions. Yeah, and Sævar, this science communicator, he just had a baby. So I just wanted to throw in this cute picture. Yeah. And to stop sharing. So in short, what worked was go away from big events, go small, go local, go regional, not hands-on, and not go online. Really, it didn't really work, but try to go with smaller groups, talks, science cafes, and the regional focus. That really worked.
Thank you, Hagardt, for sharing those tips and tricks from Iceland. We move hastily over to Estonia and Terje Tøysk. The screen is yours, Terje.
Hello. It's so good to be with you. I must say that in November 2019, when this network last time gathered in Tallinn physically, no one was online. No one even knew that you could be online. So I'm happy that we are even this way now together again. And I will share my screen in a second and show you just few slides. So in general, what happened after, well, November 2019 was pandemics as everywhere. So the, how can I? So at the same time, I can say that after a short hibernation time, like 6 months after the real pandemic started, when people tried to, well, change their way of thinking, And maybe for that period, some things stopped, but after that, actually everything happened. And I must say that I do not know any science communicators who stopped working in science communication after that. Most of the activities moved online. Also, new activities were started. And there were slight changes in the physical format while moving to online. But also additional things like, for example, there were several museums created online guided museum tours with training materials so that teachers who had to teach their students who were at home could use these materials also for their online learning. And things like that actually helped also others outside science communications were to cope with pandemics. So there was some lasting impact after the COVID was over. First, these lot of online materials that were created in museums, in all kinds of places, but also the recordings of online events that are available openly and can be used as teaching materials for whatever. And as also previous speakers said, a lot of activities now are going on in hybrid. So you can meet physically, but also there is always online participation possibility. And through this, lots of more people can be engaged. Also those who cannot come physically to the place where things happen. So much wider range of participants. And also the technical capacity of most science communicators increased tremendously, and they're still doing it. So this was a lesson learned from the pandemics, that you can do things differently if you want to, or if it's needed. So quite many good things came out from the pandemics. But of course, I agree with previous speakers that that online events are not the same as physical, and of course, if possible, we go on now physically meeting. And also, this didn't change. We had before the European Union structural funds for science communication activities centrally, and these continued through the pandemics and will continue also in the future. So the science communication scene didn't change much in Estonia, I would say, although the pandemics and all kind of other things happened in between. As a one example, Maria asked us to talk about one great example that happened during these 2 years. I would talk about one thing that Academy of Sciences did. And this is not very innovative, I must say. This is more of a analog activity. And this is a weekly column in one of Estonian biggest daily newspapers that was started in August 2021 through the Scientist's Eyes. Initiative came from the newspaper, and we had so far 37 columns. Almost 2/3 of active Academy members wrote the columns in very wide range of topics that were topical that week, starting from pandemics and war in Ukraine to the cultural and language and architectural issues that were important at that point of time. So surprisingly, this was very successful. Newspaper editors said that the reading numbers exceeded by far the average click numbers of this kind of articles that usually newspapers get. Some pieces 3-4 times over the average. Of course, some didn't. Some were not that interesting, but many were. So after the summer break, we will continue with this. And this is, well, these columns appeared online. They appeared on the paper. And also after some weeks, as this is a commercial newspaper, we couldn't put it up on our webpage immediately, but after 2 or 3 weeks after the publishing, we also put it up freely on our website. So this is something new that happened and was quite successful. I think that also people started to read more maybe during the pandemics. And I know that before there were questions that how did you get the media interested in this kind of thing? Media wasn't the problem. Media itself was very interested. Problem was to activate the academy members, because if you need to have a column every week, then you need to have a line of academy members waiting to write their column. So this was a bit of a challenge, but we managed. So this is something that happened. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Terje. That was very interesting about going back to the analog scene from being online. Sounds very interesting. Now, last but not least, I'm going to hand over to our Finnish colleague, Mari Niemi from the Tutkimus Research Center. Welcome, Mari. You're going to share the experience you have had during the pandemic.
Hi, everybody. Actually, I was invited when we discussed what I'm going to talk about. It's a new concept that we have just established. So we don't know yet how it works, but I'm glad to tell about it because it's something new that we came up with. So I work as a research director in the E2 research in Finland, but I'm based in Scotland, Glasgow. So that's where I'm at. Finnish academia in general is way more international than it has been before. However, this doesn't really translate into public discussion. If we look whose expertise is used, whose voice is heard, it's the academics who can speak Finnish, unfortunately. Of course, foreign academics do great impact in terms of doing research, but they have way more difficulties in getting their voice heard. And I'm currently leading a project called BASE, Building Academics Impact. And it really tries to help foreign academics to gain more foothold in Finnish discussion and participate, engage in social engagement as well. Project is funded by Jenny and Antti Vihuri Foundation. And within this project, we realized when we conducted a survey as well among foreign academics in Finland and their experiences, they really need more platforms. They need more chances to network. This is especially the case with younger scholars, those who recently defended their PhDs and so on. I will show you shortly an ad of the event, and then I will show the page where we have the application at the moment. Do you see this one now? Are you able to see it? I can't see you guys, so can you confirm?
Yes.
Thank you. So we came up with this concept called Science Night Live, and the first event is going to be in Science Center Heureka, which is a big fantastic venue for science in close to Helsinki. And the theme of the first event is going to be resilience. We chose it because it can bring together social scientists as well as people who work in the natural sciences, and very different perspectives can be included. And we have several different formats. So we came up with different formats to which academics can now apply and whatever they want to choose. And we will also be training them for these. So we will organize a one-day-long webinar with 3 different sessions on these themes. So it also offers support if some of them feel that they would like something like that. So there is going to be a pitching competition. There is going to be a stand-up comedy on cultural differences within academia. Of course, mostly we are hoping that they are going to have a good space to laugh about Finnish quirks and how Finland is sometimes a bit interesting place to work at. Also, there's going to be a pop-up poster exhibition. So posters that are more interesting for like wider audience. So because this is not only, the audience is not aimed at other scientists, but wider public, media, hopefully funders, decision makers. We want to have it really inclusive. And also there's more intimate venue for sharing science stories. So scientists can tell about their own life story mixed with the kind of wider perspective of their work. It is hosted by indeed E2 Research's BASE project, and also Haga-Helia University of Applied Sciences is supporting us. They are training journalists also in English. So there are people who have come even as refugees to Finland, and they are learning to, they are becoming, studying to become journalists. So they are going to be doing live journalism and journalistic stories before the event, during the event, and after the event. So everybody joining can also train their media skills. So that is also one part. And I'll see if I can also share for you just quickly the page that I have where we, okay, for whatever reason, I cannot see it. I will share the link to the chat. Let's do that. So there's a link. I know there are lots of Finns also online, so you can if you are interested in sharing the message. We are now looking for people to join the event. So there is the call for presenters is open, and we are hoping to get lots of applicants and lots of people to join and use this chance of becoming more known, hopefully, by Finnish colleagues, companies, other interest organizations, and whoever would find it interesting. It's an evening event, so that's important. Bar is open, so you can go and buy a drink, you can walk around, you can move around it's hopefully quite intimate, even though it's big venue, but lots of different things where you can actually interact and meet and speak with the academics. So you're not going to be in some massive hall, one in the big massive audience, but more kind of one-to-one interaction, but walking around and finding what is interesting for you. So I'll share the link to the chat, and that's all from me. I think we are a little bit behind the schedule, so I try to be short and sweet. Really interesting things you guys are doing. I'm absolutely fascinated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mari, and thank you to all the speakers. I think it's been a really good, like a smorgasbord of different activities. So you can start in the morning with the morning coffee, with the researcher, you go on and have a science cafe. Lots of coffees, actually. Maybe it's because we're up in the Nordics. And then borrow a researcher online, and to this night event. And also, I really, truly like the media aspect of as well, from the Estonian initiative, and the Go Local. I think that's very good. Go local, be small, think small. I'm now opening up the floor for questions. If we have any questions to our prominent speakers here, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and unmute yourself. I see Niklas has raised his hand.
Thank you. Thank you all for these really inspiring insights. Very, very interesting also, like, to get this regional overview. I have a question for Julia, but also for Sidsel and Adelheid, because I think it's similar. It's about the borrow a scientist. And I saw in one of the slides that there was like bubbles with feedback of the scientists, but I was really interested in diving a little bit more into that, and in the sense of if this not only had an effect on the children, but also on the scientists and what they were sharing. And the second part of that question would be, did you have to contact the scientists individually, or could you also go through institutions, and was there institutional backup, or was it like the institutions, if the scientists shared more like, no, this is on your own, like, I mean, if this is something you want to do on the side, please go? Or did the universities support, would be my question.
Yeah, I will start with that, your last question, how we build up for a borrower researcher. As I said in the beginning, we coordinate Forskarfredag, so we have a lot of local organizers and partners in universities and science centers. So we go through them, and they recruit researchers from their universities and the universities that work with science centers that are close to the science centers. So technically they are responsible for their researchers in their university. So we actually have them to help us to collect information from the researchers in their university, and also helping the researchers to put in like times that they are available and things like that. So it's like a three-step mechanism where we are on top, then we have our rangers and other organizations and universities, and then the researchers. So we help each other to get in the researchers and the data and everything. So it's through the universities. We do have some wild ones that go through other channels, so it's open for other researchers to participate, but we do take contact with the university that they attend or are working in, so that they know that they are part of Forskarfredag. And the other part was the feedback. Actually, those bubbles were feedback that we received through our surveys that we do every year after Researchers' Night, Forskarfredag. But we also had a lot of really good article that I shared in the chat as well. That was one of the researchers from Stockholm that we didn't even ask him to do that article. He took the initiative and shared his experience with other colleagues at KTH in Stockholm. And we also had a lot of researchers that tweeted after their experience and just wanted to share how enjoyable and learn that how much they learned from the questions they got from the visits. So hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you so much.
And Terje?
Yes, I wanted to ask a question from Mari regarding all your materials are in English. Are you expecting only Finnish researchers to enter, or can it be international?
So it is aimed for really good question, and I'm thankful that I get to clarify that. So Finnish academia is growingly international, but the foreign academics who are working and living in Finland, they don't have so many venues to engage with wider public and network and really become heard and have a platform. So we are aiming this event mostly for foreign academics, but of course Finnish academics can apply as well. And for example, the poster exhibition, it's very natural that if there is a research project that want to do a poster, there could be a couple of people, maybe a foreign academic in Finland, and it can be their Finnish colleague as well who are presenting this. But since we have quite a lot of different venues in Finnish where academic research is discussed, I'm one member of the biggest, I'm kind of in the organizing committee of the biggest science event we have in Finland, and there is quite a little amount still in that. I'm just joined and I realized the amount we organize of the events, it's mostly in Finnish. And obviously in Finland, science needs to be spoken in Finnish, like it's important that Finnish is also a language of science. But how do we attract foreign academics to Finland? How do we open the path, like for younger scholars as well, to actually gain those merits that they need? Even in their CV, when they want to apply for positions, they should show that they have networks, often abilities to gain funding. It can be related to your ability to, you can appear in the media, somebody finds you, you get networked, you can kind of collaborate with companies and so on. And if you don't have that access, so we want to kind of help in that. and also hopefully engage media and show how many interesting academics there are. So we try to find kind of different kind of formats in which they really can come out in a personable, interesting way to attract the attention of partners, funders, media. And of course, audience is going to be Finns, but also those many foreigners who live in Finland and for whom maybe there are not events that if they don't speak Finnish, you know, that they can come to this event, and many of them do speak English. So we hope that it is an attractive event for academics from wherever they are from, but also for many citizens and partners. So it's not international in a sense that we would start at this point trying to get people from abroad, because we feel that there are so few chances for those who work in Finland. I live in the UK, and it's so different here because English is the language of academia and everybody has like a more fair chance. Finnish language is so difficult, and of course some academics do the hard work and learn that as well, but for many they feel it's impossible, and it's really making it way harder. It's like something that they need to climb over. So we try to help in that.
So no Estonians are like expected.
If they want to come, they can apply. But mainly, this is the first time when we try this event in general, and it's really a pilot. We are doing it pro bono, so we don't have any funding, so we can't help in anybody traveling there. So people are of course welcome, and I'm positive that we want to choose the best possible presenters. But I think the aim and the kind of, if I look at the funder, what we promise to the funder is that we try to help foreign academics who live and work in Finland to really get the highlight and be you know, be kind of supported. We train them. We try to help them to network with Finnish companies. I think one thinking behind is also like we really want to be international, but in a sense that in Finland, if so much research is now done in English by foreign academics and it's not used that much, it's really from societal perspective quite difficult, and we want to support them also finding reasons to be in Finland and be networked and hopefully stay in Finland. Every field is lacking talent and wanting to have people who really feel that they want to make it there. So we hope that this kind of is a way to tie them with Finnish society and make it useful. But I don't want to be excluding anything, but I'm just explaining what we have agreed on with everybody who's on board. Yeah.
Thank you, Marie. It's very interesting with languages. I don't think we have that similar problem in Sweden. It's nearly the opposite, that we have too many wanting to do the presentations as for the Researchers Grand Prix. You have to correct me if I'm wrongly here, Julia, but I think we have too many wanting to present in English. I wonder, is that the same in maybe in Norway and Iceland too, or Sidsel?
For Forsker Grand Prix, it is most Norwegian, but we always have some English presentations. But for the rest of the festival, it's not so many English-speaking activities. A few, but nearly all in Norwegian.
It's the same in Iceland. It's really mostly in Icelandic. The English would be the exception, but it's always welcome. I mean, they can always do a presentation in English. It's not a problem. But I wanted also to take, because Niklas asked also from regarding the Borrow Researcher, how we organize it. And even though it didn't really take place last year, what we do is, yes, we go through the organizations completely. We start by contacting the universities and, you know, this is going to happen, who is interested? And they organize their supply of researchers, if you like. And when they let us know that there is supply, there is maybe 20, 30 researchers that want to take place, we contact the schools and then we go through the schools, sometimes through the municipality authorities that run the schools. And it's very important to focus on a level. So are you going to focus on children? So we try to focus on the middle level where they're getting to be teenagers, but not quite. And they're really open, like sponges, really starting to think really what they're going to do when they grow up, but not yet at upper secondary school. So we try to focus every year on a level, 2-3 years. and then we are the matchmaker. So we are the, you know, if there's a supply and there's demand, we match them like a Tinder or something. And they usually, it's the teachers prefer the researchers to come in, like there is science class, or so they come, or biology class. They come into that class and take over the whole class, engaging with the children. And we have a rule that the scientist mustn't take a lot of stuff with him or her. So it has to fit in like these plastic boxes that you take with you. So if you want to get some stuff with you or some gadgets, it has to fit in a box that you can just take under one arm and carry with you. So that is the only rule we have. So no PowerPoints or no huge tools, just, you know, the engagement and the communication.
Sidsel, you wanted to comment?
Yes, we do through the local organizers as well, engage the researchers, but we don't only borrow them to schools, we also borrow them to like workplaces in lunchtime, or other groups of people wanting to have a visitor. And we also have done the last 2 years, both mostly digital and some physical, but then usually they are mostly physical, but some digital because of the traveling. Some areas of Norway is large distances, so then the digital is useful.
And Niklas was putting a question probably to me in the chat, that if they ask the children or the young people to rate the scientists, and the answer is no, not really, not in writing. It's just that, you know, no, we don't complicate it, but there's a discussion. So the teacher talks to the children afterwards and lets us know. But it's actually a good idea, but it would always be like chat with the children, and then maybe the teachers would say how it went, because they kind of have a better overview of it. We haven't done it. We haven't done it actually.
My question was also coming from more because I think, Julia, you mentioned also that you offer, if I got it correctly, like trainings, right? Because I mean, probably they are not used to this group of like age group, right, to deliver their knowledge to. So I was wondering if you ever also made like some bad experiences and you had to say like, okay, maybe the scientist he needs training before doing that again.
Last year, I will start with the target groups, or the group that because we asked the researchers beforehand which age group they feel comfortable in going to visit. So they get to choose if they want to go to a secondary school or a high school, or where they feel comfortable in presenting. But last year we had visits from first grade to the last grade. So it was like all over classes from every age group in Sweden. And it was from the researchers' perspective, what they felt comfortable with presenting. And the one key thing is that they actually, before they go to visit a school, or they always have contact with the teacher before. So they always get to know what kind of a classroom they go into, how many kids are going to be there, what does the teacher want out of the visits and things like that. So they always have, it's not only just a booking and then they show up, it's always a communication between them before. So they get to know one another before they enter a classroom. We have only focused on school kids for now. And actually it's part of the European Researcher Night as well, the New Horizon Europe. They want us to have activities at school. So that's still the main focus, but we want to develop it in the future to go to workplaces as well as in Norway. And we do survey the kids afterwards. So the teacher will get an email after the visits with a survey that they can fill in, and a survey that the kids can fill in as well. So we do get some feedback even from the kids after the visits.
Thank you, all speakers. Do we have any more questions from the audience? In case, you could post them in the chat. We're a bit behind the schedule, but we started a bit late as well. I was actually thinking that now, I mean, all of you participants have been sitting here and listening and so on, but I thought we could have just a short networking together, and I'll ask my colleague Oscar to do some magical touch and divide us all into 3 different small groups. And then when we come back, and this is a cliffhanger, so you won't kind of escape, Niklas will tell you all about all the things happening within the Falling Walls global network. So if I just let Oscar now work his magic, and for 10 minutes we will be discussing, and we will also use the Menti, so you could enter all your inspiring activities that you're doing or hot topics that are discussed in your countries into that. So I'll ask Oscar to please spread us out in breakout rooms. Hello, everyone. We're starting to come back to the joint session again. I'll see
This was a very, very short discussion. Really.
I know. It was a very short discussion, but I don't want to keep you too long. We said to 50-30, and I mean, it's just also an ignite discussion, maybe to be continued, I would say, because I would also like you, before leaving today, I would also like to hand over the screen to Niklas Marcinik from Falling Walls, so we can actually brief you on what's going on in this within the global hubs and Falling Walls. So I'll leave the screen to you, Niklas.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was funny that it was such a short discussion, and also like going to show what sometimes is the issue of those online meetings. I hope we can continue this discussion, and also maybe on a global level. Like, it's so interesting to be in this meeting here and see the Nordic Baltic Scicomm trends. As I have mentioned in the breakout session, and I'm going to do now as well, is Falling Walls Engage. We are more one level up, basically, like having those regional networks that are there, that are existing, and seeing our job more in like connecting those regional networks. So this is what we hope to contribute like to the movement worldwide. And we work with fantastic people like Maria together and organize so-called Falling Walls Engage hubs all year round. And also just a couple of words, because this is the topic of today's session, right? Like, how has this, the past 2 years and the digitalization or virtualization of meeting each other impacted us? And it was very funny because we are quite a young network. So we just started right before the pandemic. We had our first in-person event in Kenya in March 2020, and it was the week before basically the world went to lockdown, and then every single following meeting had to be virtual. So that was quite a bummer, but also making our network quite inclusive right from the start. Though I have to say that a lot of our engagement in the network has been driven by the people that we had the chance to meet in person. And now I'm not sure how it is for you guys, but also facing new challenges with the in-person meetings, like how can we still be as inclusive as in virtual times, also the immense travel expenses these days, and of course the aspect, and we haven't really found a solution for that, the sustainability aspect. We are promoting this year specifically the topic of planetary health, and that is a bit funny to make people travel around the world and also have them talk about the climate crisis and do better. So if you have ideas, that would be, please let me know. And I just share one slide to just give you an idea of our network. So you see the Engage Hub Sweden there in the north, and our 9 other hubs, which the red ones are already established and the gray ones we are establishing this year. Actually, the next one coming up is the Engage Hub Mexico, taking place in 2 weeks in Mexico City. And we will be meeting universities, museums, experiencing the Scicomm and science engagement scene on the ground, traveling with 10 international engagers and meeting 10 of their Mexican counterparts. This is basically how we launch a hub with such a delegation trip. And if you want to be part of one of those trips, check out our website. We have 2 more of those trips coming up to South Africa, which will take place in December, right before the World Science Forum in Cape Town, and also a trip to Japan from 18th till 21st of October, also attending the Japanese Scicomm Forum, one of the only English-speaking events for Scicomm practitioners in Japan. So if you're interested, reach out to us. And as I mentioned, there are some really crazy travel costs right now. We also offer travel scholarships for all our delegates to really compensate a little bit for these expenses. So if you're interested to join our group, and it's really a lot of fun in meeting the local practitioners and creating this exchange. We have seen that a lot of great collaborations come out of that. And now I would love to very quickly, this is spontaneous now, I would love to hand over to my colleague Milena, who should be with us, and she will just say 2 words about another project, our World Engagement Map. Yeah, there you are, Milena. I hand over to you.
Hi, Maria. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this great session. It was really great to hear from your project and creative initiatives. Always very interesting to learn also from the Baltic communities and what the great things you do. Basically, we thought that it may be interesting also for us, for you to know about the World Engagement Map. It's basically an interactive platform that we have launched just last year. It's still growing, so it's still let's say in a onset mode, and basically we invite everyone active in science engagement to add their projects on the map if they want to. It's kind of interactive. You have some filters. You can discover a project on all continents with the different sections. And yeah, if you're interested to bring a bit more visibility also to your projects in other countries, this may be a way to do it. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, let me know. And once you're on there, you can just submit an entry, and that should work. So yeah, thank you everyone. And I hope you have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you, Milena. And thank you, Niklas. So Niklas, did you have anything more you would like to add?
I would have so much more to add because it's so many exciting things happening. Maybe just one sentence. We are also currently organizing a, let's say, movement, maybe. We want to have the UN General Assembly to proclaim an International Year of Science Engagement in 2027. This is quite some a long way to go, and we are currently looking for organizations to back us up, to form an alliance, to bring our initiative to the UNESCO Assembly, which then will be like the first milestone to bring it to the General Assembly of the United Nations. If you would like to find out more, you find information on our website, and we will also celebrate the collaboration with the European Science Engagement Association and UC Conference if you happen to be there. So there's also a chance to find out more about that. And I think I will leave it at this and hand over back to you, Maria. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Niklas. So yeah, there's going to be lots of possibilities to engage both online, but also face-to-face in the coming months. So I would, first of all, a big huge thank you to all the speakers, but also to your participants for being here today. And as I said, this event has been recorded, so we will publish it on our website. I would also encourage you, especially your Nordic Baltic Scicommers, to join us in our informal Facebook group. I think Helen will post the link in the chat to that. And also, please continue to share your inspiring activities, because I think that could also be a foundation to leverage and to build on new. I mean, we're all always collaborating with each other in different projects and so on. So please share it in both in the Menti and also on the World Engagement Map, which is a perfect initiative. And I also want to inform you that we're also planning a Nordic Baltic face-to-face meeting in mid-November. We are starting out to do some planning, but it's probably going to be around the 14th to 15th here in Stockholm. So please make a note of that in your diaries. It's going to be in conjunction to the Swedish Forum för forskningskommunikation, the Forum for Science Communication, which will be held in the afternoon of the 15th. So therefore we're trying to gather you all prior to that. And then you have also the chance to stay for the forum. But more about that will also be posted on the Facebook group and on the VA website. And we also send out information to you as we now have all your email contacts. So by that, thank you all for joining us today, and have a lovely summer, and see you in the autumn. Bye.